A silent aircraft hovered over the sea, then disappeared. No sound, no signal, no trace. American radars didn't even blink. It wasn't a warplane or a stealth bomber. It was something new. And by the time the US figured it out, China had already moved 9 steps ahead, launching machines that most people thought only existed in science fiction. We're talking about flying taxis, SUVs that glide on water, and invisible drones that don't show up on radar. These aren't lab tests. They're public, working machines seen in real cities. So the question is, how did this all happen so fast? And more importantly, where is it heading? This isn't just about cool tech anymore. It's about power, territory, and a whole new kind of warfare. Quiet, fast, and unexpected. Some US military insiders now call this the quiet collapse of dominance. Not because of a missile, but because of machines we didn't see coming. Just think, one morning, the skies, roads, and oceans could stop being yours. Not because someone took them by force, but because someone outbuilt you while you were looking the other way. If you live in a major city, you'll likely feel this shift first. Whether it's new flying taxis overhead, strange vehicles gliding over rivers, or smart rails under your feet, it's all coming faster than expected. This video breaks down exactly how China shocked the US again. Not with weapons, but with machines that rewrite what we think is possible. Stay to the end, because one of these breakthroughs may be the beginning of something much bigger. China shocked the world by releasing 2 new machines, a flying car and a stealth boat. But the surprise wasn't just in their design, it was in the fact that both vehicles moved without being detected. These weren't secret missions or deep military projects. They were public demos, shown live, yet they still managed to fly and float without setting off traditional radar or signal alerts. The real power wasn't in what people saw, but in what was quietly hidden underneath. The flying car, the Xpeng X3, can lift vertically, fly for over 30 minutes, and land again, all while making almost no noise. The stealth boat, based on military catamaran design, moves low, fast, and can carry actual weapon payloads according to leaked specs. Both are being developed in plain sight, but with tech that seems to belong to the future. Imagine living in a city where your neighbor lifts off in a flying car, but there's no crash signal, no flight log, nothing to track. It doesn't feel real until you see it with your own eyes. That's the level of ghost tech China is now showing. These aren't science fiction. They are being tested live in public airspace and waters. That means China is not just building them in labs. It's confident enough to demo them in real conditions, in front of global media. The message: if these are the ones we can see, what else has already been built but not shown? US analysts were caught off guard. While American agencies focused on traditional weapon systems and EV debates, China had already moved the game into stealth transportation, something that blends military power with civilian disguise. That kind of hybrid threat is extremely hard to counter. One of the flying cars even offers a 270-degree panoramic cockpit view, which means you can see nearly everything around you while flying, but no one can really track you from the outside. That's not just innovation, that's a quiet shift in global mobility and possibly warfare. So if road and sea are now equipped with stealth machines, then what's next in the sky? In 2025, China changed the way cities move by launching 2 powerful systems at once: a hyperloop that races through underground vacuum tubes, and a sky train that glides above traffic in the air. These aren't plans or future concepts. They are working systems, already tested and used in real environments, and they're moving at speeds faster than airplanes. The effect is dramatic. Distances that used to take hours now take minutes. Imagine going from Beijing to Shanghai, a trip that once took 3 hours by high-speed rail, now shrinking to under an hour. People describe it like teleporting past the city. That's how fast these machines are. The most shocking part? These systems weren't built over decades. They were completed in record time, thanks to modular design and military-level coordination. One type of elevated train track can be installed in days, not months. The SkyTrain doesn't need to dig tunnels or tear up roads. It floats above the chaos. Now think about your own city. Imagine skipping the highway, flying past traffic above, and getting across town in 5 minutes. That's what China's floating transit makes possible. It's not just about speed, it's about freedom from the the gridlock that millions face every day. While China launches these systems, the US rail network still struggles with basic delays, aging tracks, and political fights over funding. In cities like New York or San Francisco, some projects take decades just to approve. Meanwhile, China is already planning more vacuum loops across provinces. The gap is growing fast. China is not just upgrading transportation, it's rebuilding the very structure of movement. And urban planners around the world are now asking the same question. How do you keep up with a country that builds at this speed? Even more impressive is how elevated trains use lightweight tracks that don't require massive construction zones. They can be placed almost anywhere. This design lets them move quickly into cities without shutting anything down. It's almost like watching a tech product update an entire country. Some of these new systems are designed to connect directly with flying cars and drone stations, meaning you could land, ride, and arrive, all without touching the ground in traffic. So if underground and sky transit are both moving faster than ever, we have to ask, what else is already flying over our head? China shocked the world again, this time with machines that fly people over traffic like it's nothing. They showed a drone taxi and a jet-powered motorcycle. These aren't science fiction, they are real machines, shown in public demos, lifting off vertically and flying without a runway or a pilot. The drone taxi is fully automatic. It carries 2 passengers, has no steering wheel, and doesn't need a human pilot. You just get in, press a button, and it flies you to your destination. The jet motorcycle is even wilder. It uses 1,300 horsepower to lift a single rider into the air, flying for up to 10 minutes at high speed. It sounds like a fighter jet, but it's a one-person vehicle. Now picture this. Instead of being stuck in traffic for an hour, you rise straight into the sky and fly across the city like calling an Uber. That's the level of change we're talking about. These vehicles are built for real use, not as toys. They have safety systems, tested flight controls, and even backup parachutes hidden in the motorcycle's body in case of failure. While these are flying live in China, the United States hasn't even approved them for testing. US airspace is still controlled by slow regulations and strict laws, while China is racing ahead and testing these in real-world conditions. That means China may soon fill the skies with everyday commuters, while other countries are still arguing about road rules. What this shows is a huge shift in where commuting happens. It's no longer just roads, trains, or tunnels. Airspace is now the new city highway, and with no traffic lights or lane limits up there, the speed and freedom are unlike anything we've seen before. One surprising detail, the jet motorcycle includes hidden parachutes under the seat, so if anything goes wrong mid-air, the rider can float safely to the ground. That's not just wild tech, it's a sign that these machines are being built for mass adoption, not just for show. So if air vehicles are already flying over traffic, we have to ask, what happens when the skies, roads, and waters all start to merge? Chinese vehicles started to transform in real life, not just in movies or concept shows. Some cars now float on water, some can lift into the sky, and others can spin in place on land or sea. These are not distant prototypes. They are available tech, ready to use on the streets, rivers, and rooftops of China. What makes this so powerful is how the vehicles adapt to their surroundings instantly. One SUV, for example, is fully electric and can float when floodwaters rise. It doesn't just survive the water, it spins 360 degrees, stays level, and keeps driving. Another system involves modular car bodies that can detach from their wheels and rise vertically using flight modules. With just a tap on a screen, your ride could switch from car to aircraft mode. These flight-enabled models weren't hidden in labs. They were showcased during China's official public demo events, where massive crowds watched as vehicles lifted into the sky or skimmed across water in real time. Imagine this happening in your own life. You're stuck in city traffic and a storm hits. Roads flood, but instead of waiting for help, your vehicle lifts off or floats away, keeping your family safe. This is what transforming cars make possible, a kind of freedom and safety that traditional vehicles can't provide. Now think about the bigger picture. These aren't just luxury features. In a world facing climate change, rising seas, and infrastructure failure, China is building vehicles that respond to the crisis. And unlike in the US, where most such ideas are stuck in research or delayed by red tape, China is rolling them out fast. The twist: you control many of these systems with simple tablets inside the car. Switching from land to water or air happens in seconds. It feels like driving a car with a drone pilot mode, controlled right from your dashboard. So while the US still debates electric charging stations and software updates, China is launching escape-ready vehicles that move on land, sea, and air. This is not just competition in the auto industry, it's a shift in how humanity moves and survives. And yet, there's one more layer. These hybrid vehicles are also being linked to AI navigation, satellite guidance, and even military transport systems in case of emergencies. So the question becomes, if vehicles can move on every surface, what else are they being designed to carry? Out of all the vehicles China revealed in 2025, one was not shown to the public. This was not a flying car or a fancy water vehicle. It was something hidden, something powerful. US officials believe it may be a mobile airborne command capsule, a small flying base that doesn't carry passengers, but instead controls and manages other vehicles around it. This capsule is not just about travel, it is about command, communication, and control. According to reports, it can fly without being seen, send secure messages, and guide drones, aircraft, or cars all at once. In short, it acts like a brain in the sky. Imagine Uber, not as a ride service, but as a control tower that flies above your city, making real-time decisions about where every vehicle goes. There is no public video of this capsule, but satellite footage and leaked military notes suggest it exists. In one report, tests were spotted at Chinese army zones where no civilian aircraft were allowed. This was the only machine not shown during China's transport showcase, making it even more mysterious and more important. What makes this more intense is how it changes everything about war and control. If China can fly a silent command post above a city or battlefield, it could control all drones, cars, or boats below without detection. No soldiers needed on the ground, no delay in decisions, just one brain in the sky guiding it all. The US might not even be able to see it. If this capsule flies under radar and controls fleets remotely, then America could be flying blind in future conflicts, without knowing who or what is controlling the skies. This is no longer just about cars or air taxis. This is about back-end power, machines that don't move people, but move entire systems. And if that power goes unseen, then control can shift without a single bullet being fired. So now that we've seen the surface, flying bikes, floating SUVs, and jet drones, it's time to look deeper, because the true power in China's transport tech may not be what moves, but what commands the movement. By mid-2025, something became clear to the world. China didn't just launch vehicles, it changed the rules. Without warning, it showed working machines that fly, float, glide, and vanish. And it did so not with press shows or ads, but through quiet public demos and sudden tech reveals. The result? A total shift in how nations think about war, movement, and control. The biggest surprise wasn't the flying cars or floating SUVs. It was the fact that China didn't need to make noise to win attention. While other countries still plan, China builds. And more importantly, it keeps its most powerful tools hidden until the perfect moment. That silent aircraft spotted near the sea, that wasn't just a flying machine, it was a message. The future of power may be quiet, invisible, and already here. Real strength doesn't always look like a missile or a tank. Sometimes it looks like a smooth ride, a silent hover, or a car that can leave the road and lift into the sky. That's what makes this moment so emotional. Our whole idea of dominance may be outdated. So what does that mean for all of us? If true power is now invisible, and if control comes from the skies without a sound, how should we respond? Because one thing is certain, whoever controls this silent tech controls the future. We just saw how quiet technology can shift global power, not with explosions, but with silence. China didn't fire a single shot, yet still managed to shock the world with what it built, tested, and flew right past us. That kind of move isn't loud, but it's permanent, and that's the truth most people miss. When technology evolves in silence, the headlines arrive too late. What we see in public is often years behind what's already working in secret. That's why this story matters, because what's invisible today could shape your world tomorrow. If you want to stay ahead of these changes, subscribe now. We break down what others miss before it shows up in your city, on your streets, or over your skies. Now here's the big question for you. Which one of these 9 machines shocked you the most? Was it the flying car, the vanishing drone, or that floating SUV? And deeper than that, what scares you most about this kind of unseen power? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because the next wave of power won't ask for permission. It's already on the move. And that's the truth most people miss. When technology evolves in silence, the headlines arrive too late. What we see in public is usually just the surface. Meanwhile, behind closed doors, prototypes are flying, vanishing, floating, and rewriting what we thought was possible. Governments know it. Private companies know it. You're just now catching up. But if you're here watching this, you're already ahead of most. That's why this story matters, because what's invisible today, what's hidden from the news, the schools, and even the markets could reshape your world tomorrow. Maybe not in a decade, maybe not in 5 years, maybe next week. So if you want to stay ahead of these changes, subscribe now. This channel breaks down what others ignore before it shows up in your city, on your streets, or over your skies. Now here's the big question for you. Which one of these 9 machines shocked you the most? Was it the flying car that could render traffic obsolete? The vanishing drone that disappears into thin air, rewriting the rules of warfare and surveillance? Or was it that floating SUV cruising above the ground like a real-life sci-fi dream?